Ain't It Cool News presents Ain't It Scary Reviews, a month-long exploration of terror.
When horror fans talk about Frankenstein movies, they usually mention Boris Karloff in the original, and James Whale's excellent directorial work in Bride of Frankenstein. Both of those films are iconic. Rarely, and I mean rarely, does anyone ever mention the third film in the series, Son of Frankenstein, and that's a real shame. 4 years after Bride, Universal produced a big-budget reboot featuring 3 genre heavyweights and a strong performance from Lionel Atwill as Krogh the police inspector. This film changes up several of the plot details of the first 2. For one, the name of the town is changed from Goldstadt to Frankenstein. The monster can no longer speak, and we find out the lightning that originally granted the monster his life was actually cosmic rays, giving him near invincibility. Who knew the Frankenstein monster and the Silver Surfer had something in common? Also, there's the addition of Bela Lugosi, who brings the character of Igor to the screen for the first time ever. He's a scruffy, broken man who was hung by the townspeople for his role in helping the original Doctor, but he survived and now walks around with a broken neck. This, in my opinion, is Lugosi at his best. He's cunning, tortured, and vengeful, yet he portrays himself to those around him as the total opposite. He's the type of bad guy you root for. This is Karloff's final film performance as the monster. He did some public appearances and showed up in the makeup later in his career on TV, but that doesn't really count. No one can blame the guy for not wanting to continue his iconic role. It took makeup legend Jack Pierce 4 hours every day to get him ready for work. If there is one thing that disappointed me about the film, though, was the lack of screen time for the monster. Under the direction of the evil Igor, he kills a couple of people, but otherwise, he's used on screen as a tug-of-war rope, constantly being pulled between Igor's deadly agenda, the research work of Dr. Frankenstein, and the safety concerns of Inspector Krogh. And speaking of Dr. Frankenstein, Basil Rathbone plays the son of the original Doctor. He returns to the community that his father's monster helped destroy, a hated man by the townspeople. Rathbone plays his role without the slightest hint of camp. The film takes itself very serious and prefers to think of itself more as a dark drama than a horror movie. And this pretty much goes for every other performer in the film. His relationship with Lionel Atwill on screen is fascinating, as each man constantly tries to measure the other up without tipping their hand. They are intellectual adversaries and friends at the same time. Atwill captivates Dr. Frankenstein and the audience as he tells the story of how he received his wooden arm thanks to an attack during his youth by the monster. Now you know where Mel Brooks got his inspiration for Inspector Kemp. I can't proclaim that Son of Frankenstein is as good as the first 2 installments, but it boasts big shadowy sets, a beautiful score, and brilliant performances from its leads. It's a film that deals less in grandiose themes like the creation of life or the soul of man, and it focuses more on revenge and a son dealing with the sins of his father. Universal seemed to have set its sights on making a solid picture that lives up to the Frankenstein name. They certainly succeeded.